Stop competing, start creating. That's the moment everything changes, not when you hustle harder, not when you outsmart your rivals, but when you make a radical decision to leave the game of comparison and step into the field of creation. That's what Wallace D. Wattles meant when he talked about the difference between competitive thought and creative thought. And the truth is, most people never even realize they have a choice. From the moment we're born, we're trained to compete. Compete for grades, compete for attention, compete for resources, followers, status, success. And for a while it works, kind of. You get better, you push harder, you win small victories. But deep inside, there's a tension, a constant battle. A sense that no matter how much you gain, it's never enough because someone always has more. That's the trap of the competitive mind. It's rooted in scarcity. It believes there's only so much to go around, that success must be taken, not made, that wealth is won through struggle, not through flow. But Wallace knew better. He taught something bolder, that true success is never stolen, it's created. And that means you don't have to fight for your future. You just have to build it. Creative thought is the mindset of abundance. It sees opportunity, not obstacles. It asks, what can I contribute, instead of, what can I conquer? It knows that ideas are infinite, energy is infinite, possibilities are infinite, and because of that, success is infinite too if you align with the right mindset. Let's make it real. Think about someone you admire, someone who built something big. Oprah, Elon Musk, Jay-Z, Rihanna, Steve Jobs. None of them got where they are by just copying or competing. They created. They brought something new into the world. They saw a gap and filled it. They took what they had, where they were, and turned it into something that didn't exist before. That's creation. That's power, and that's available to you. But to use it, you have to let go. Let go of the belief that there's not enough. Let go of the reflex to compare. Let go of the need to prove. You don't need to be better than anyone else. You just need to be better than your old self. Because the only competition that ever mattered is the version of you that stayed safe, small, scared. Here's the truth. You were born with the ability to think creatively. You've had it since day one. But somewhere along the way, the world convinced you to play it safe, to follow the rules, to color inside the lines. But creation isn't about lines, it's about vision. And when you tap back into that vision, you stop asking, what do they have that I don't? And you start asking, what can I make with what I already have? And guess what? You already have everything you need to begin. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need more followers. You don't need permission. You need a clear idea, a strong why, and the courage to act, even when it's imperfect, even when it's scary. Because creative thought isn't about waiting. It's about doing, trying, adjusting, iterating, and becoming. Think about it this way. A competitive mind waits for the perfect wave. A creative mind learns to surf in still water. One is stuck, the other moves. Which one are you? When you shift to creation, everything starts to align. Resources show up, people connect with you, ideas flow more easily. That's not magic, it's momentum. It's what happens when you stop chasing someone else's version of success and start designing your own. The creative mind doesn't look over its shoulder, it looks ahead. It doesn't say, how do I keep up? It says, how do I stand out? That mindset alone can transform a side hustle into a brand, a talent into a business, a dream into a legacy. Here's something else Wallace D. Wattles taught. When you think creatively, you're in harmony with the universe. You become a channel for what's possible, not just what's profitable. And that means your success doesn't just help you, it helps others too. Because creative thought multiplies, it inspires, it expands, it doesn't take from the world, it adds to it. And the best part, it's contagious. The moment you start thinking this way, you'll notice others around you shifting too. Your energy changes. Your confidence grows. You stop trying to win and start trying to serve. And service, when done from a place of passion and purpose, is the most magnetic force in the world. But let's be honest, it's not always easy. The world will try to pull you back into competition. You'll see someone doing what you want to do, and you'll feel that sting, that fear, that doubt, that voice saying, they already did it, it's too late, but that voice is lying. It's the voice of the old world, the world of lack, and it's time you stopped listening to it. Because there is no such thing as a saturated market when you bring your authentic self into the equation. No one can compete with your unique energy, your story, your voice. You are the X factor. Your presence is the power. And when you think creatively, you don't just enter the marketplace, you change it. You don't need to tear anyone down to build something great. You don't need to gossip or hustle or grind in bitterness. You can rise in joy, in flow, in faith. That's the new model of success. That's the creative way, and it's the only way that lasts. So today, ask yourself, am I reacting or am I creating? Am I chasing or am I building? Am I copying or am I innovating? You don't need all the answers, you just need the right questions. And those questions lead to clarity. Clarity leads to vision. Vision leads to action. And action done consistently and boldly leads to results. Not borrowed results, not imitated success, but your success built by you, for you, fueled by purpose. anchored in authenticity. That's what Wallace was talking about. That's the real game. And the moment you switch from competitive to creative, you're already winning. You can't copy your way to greatness. That's the hard truth most people avoid. You can imitate trends, you can duplicate success, but you will never own your life until you build something original. And originality doesn't come from competition. It comes from creation. The world isn't moved by replicas, it's transformed by visionaries. And the moment you stop trying to be better than someone else and start being the boldest version of yourself, everything changes. So how do you actually begin building that original vision? It starts with radical self-honesty. You must ask, what do I love so deeply that I'd do it even if I never got paid? What do I think about late at night when all the noise is gone? What problems can I solve that others ignore? What truth do I carry that hasn't been spoken loudly enough? These are the seeds of creation. They don't come from external pressure. They arise from internal clarity. You discover them when you dare to get quiet, to tune out the competitive noise and tune into your inner voice. That voice knows the way. It always has, but it needs space, it needs trust, and above all, it needs action. Because creativity isn't just thinking up ideas, it's acting on them. It's taking that vision and giving it life, one decision at a time. That means showing up when it's uncomfortable, speaking your truth when it's unpopular, building when no one else sees the dream. The creator walks by faith, not by sight. They don't wait for validation. They create the standard. You want a breakthrough? Stop waiting to be chosen. Choose yourself. You want momentum? Stop scrolling for inspiration. Make something today. A post, a page, a product, an offer, a message, anything. The world responds to energy. And nothing is more powerful than the energy of a soul on fire with purpose. Remember, competition is the game of the insecure. Creation is the path of the free. When you create, you build something no one can take. Not your audience, not your peace, not your worth. You become a source, and sources don't run dry, they overflow. So overflow. Let your ideas flood the world. Let your courage disrupt the norms. Let your story awaken others. That's what the world needs right now. Not another imitation, another originator. Someone bold enough to stop playing the game and start changing it. That someone is you. Because once you decide to think creatively, there's no going back. The world makes room for the person who knows where they are going. Wallace D. Wattles didn't just say this to sound poetic, he meant it literally. When you move with clarity and creativity, the world responds. Doors open, people notice, resources appear. Why? Because the world respects vision, it respects purpose, and more than anything, it respects originality. See, the reason most people never stand out is because they're too busy trying to fit in. They're walking paths that have already been walked, saying what's already been said, mimicking what they think success is supposed to look like. But creativity doesn't follow the herd. It breaks away. It leads. It dares to see what doesn't yet exist and says, why not? That's your job now, to stop chasing someone else's dream and start crafting your own. Let's get even more real. Competition breeds anxiety. You wake up stressed. You work with tension. You sleep with doubt. Because deep down, you're constantly measuring yourself against an invisible ruler. And no matter how far you go, someone always seems a few steps ahead. It's exhausting, but more than that, it's unnecessary. Because when you shift to creation, there is no race. There is only your pace. There is only your journey. And guess what? You win just by walking it. This shift is about peace. It's about power. It's about releasing the lie that there's a shortage of success. There's not. There's just a shortage of people willing to trust themselves long enough to find it. Most people give up too early. They look at the crowd, get overwhelmed and shrink. But creators lean in. They know that what looks crowded is often just noisy. Noise doesn't mean value. It just means volume. And you don't need to be loud. You need to be clear. Clarity is your superpower. When you know who you are, what you're here to do, and why it matters, you become unstoppable. Not because it's easy, but because you're aligned. Aligned people don't get derailed by setbacks. They learn, they adjust, they grow. That's the path of the creative mind. And yes, it takes courage, because the creative life is a vulnerable one. You're sharing your ideas, your energy, your heart. It's not just business, it's personal, but that's also why it works, because people don't connect with polish, they connect with realness. They don't need another pitch, they need permission to be fully themselves, and when you show up that way, it gives them the space to do the same. That's leadership, that's legacy. But to get there, you have to kill the ego. The ego wants attention, the ego wants status, the ego wants to win, but the creative spirit, it wants to serve, it wants to build, it wants to express, to heal, to contribute. When you lead from that place, everything shifts. Your brand becomes magnetic, your work becomes fulfilling, your impact becomes undeniable. And it all starts with one decision, to stop competing and start creating. So what does that look like in practice? It means making something today instead of waiting for perfect conditions. It means sharing your message even if your voice shakes. It means trusting your intuition even when the logic isn't clear yet. It means choosing boldness over approval, because the world doesn't need more safe ideas. It needs soul-level vision. It means looking at your industry, your market, your craft, and asking what's missing, what's broken, what could be better, and then daring to be the one who fixes it, not later, but now. That's the essence of creativity, not flashy aesthetics, but fearless action. Look around. The most successful people aren't always the smartest. They're the ones who moved, who launched the podcast, started the brand, built the channel, wrote the book, filmed the video, created the offer. While others hesitated, they moved. And every time you move in faith, faith in yourself, in your purpose, in your unique voice, you signal the universe, I'm ready. And the universe listens. It's not about hustle culture, it's about purpose-driven persistence. You don't burn out when you create from alignment, you burn bright, you radiate. You attract. That's what Wallace D. Wattles was really teaching, that creative thought is not just a mindset, it's a spiritual shift. It's moving from fear to flow, from scarcity to sufficiency, from proving to being. And the more you live from that place, the more success becomes a side effect, not a goal. Because now you're playing a different game. A game with no finish line, just progress, just contribution, just meaning. So, here's your reminder. No one else has your combination of talents, story, struggles, and insights. You are unrepeatable. That means your path is too. Stop trying to follow a map that wasn't made for you. Start building a compass and trust it. Forget chasing trends. You are the trend. Forget keeping up. Set your own pace. Forget impressing people. Focus on impacting them. Because when your work is infused with truth, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be felt. That's what people remember. That's what changes lives, and that's what you're here to do. You don't have to dominate the world to make a difference. You just have to create from where you are, right now, with what you have. You don't need more time or more talent or more tools. You need clarity and commitment and the courage to start. That's it. Because creation doesn't require perfection. It requires motion, forward motion, and momentum builds when you stop doubting and start doing. Every step you take in faith is a declaration that you trust the creative power within you, that you believe in a universe that supports progress, not punishment, that you understand one essential truth: wealth, success, and fulfillment are not reserved for the chosen few. They are created by those who choose to believe. So forget about competition, forget about the scoreboard, forget about the numbers, the noise, the pressure. Instead, tune into your creative rhythm, your unique voice, your personal spark. Because when you express that without fear, you unlock something magnetic. People notice, opportunities appear, energy rises, you enter flow, and flow is where the miracles live. You'll stumble, you'll doubt, you'll question whether it's working. That's normal. Creation isn't always glamorous, it's often gritty. But if you stay true to the vision, if you stay in creative thought, you will rise, you'll evolve, you'll lead, not by force, but by example. This is what Wallace D. Wattles meant when he said success is not about grabbing more, but about being more. Not about clawing to the top, but about growing from the inside out. It's not about scarcity or survival, it's about service, contribution, expansion. And every person who chooses to create instead of compete, every person who chooses to believe there's enough for all, adds more light to the world. That light, that's you. So keep going, keep building, keep imagining. Don't shrink to fit a broken system. Create a better one. Don't fight for a piece of the pie. Bake a new one. Don't wait for permission. Be the permission. You don't need a seat at someone else's table. You are here to build your own. So rise up, speak boldly, act courageously, and remember, the world is waiting not for someone better, but for someone braver. And that someone is you.